Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. We had a little bit of interruption there. So I'm here with JESTON WHITE, and he just informed me he had a bit of a lightning incident just now. So lightning strike 182, the flux capacitor 182.
Love it.
Lightning is 100, which is temporal, which is time travel. Sorry, time machine. We've been talking about that. So you were telling us about you were a blended being, and you were going to go into more on that. So you talked about part of your mission. Prior to Q coming up, you talked about Thoth, if I've said it rightly, emerald tablets, Egypt, pyramids, certain actions taken then, and then you now are in this state as JESTON as we see you. So what were you talked about a blended being. What were you prior to, say, 2017, for argument's sake?
Well, it would be prior to 2016.
Okay.
Let's see. It'd be more like probably prior to 2015.
Okay.
I was blended for a while.
What do you mean? 2015 is when I met Ivanka. So that's a pinpoint when I can feel that that's when my mission started. I got activated. I noticed numbers, a few incidents along the way, and then 2020 hit, and then it was like steroids. You know, it just went boom through the roof. So blended. Yes. Yeah, so tell us a bit more about that. Like, what is that? What was that for you? You were a blended being. So if I'm hearing you correctly, or what you're alluding to, you weren't JESTON WHITE as we see you now. You were another being. Okay, tell us more about that if you would, JESTON.
Well, I didn't know the particulars then, but what I did know, when I say I meant the other person.
Yeah.
That I, that this body was born as, had reached this point after lots of hours of, like 16 hours a day of meditation, just not like any kind of om or anything, just totally being quiet and still for multiple hours every day, because that's just was the only thing that seemed to feel right to do. And but okay, long story short, got to a point where he's like, my name's not X, this other name, but I don't know what my name is. I just know it's not this.
When you said you were blended, did you? So I'm assuming you didn't physically resemble JESTON as we look at you now. You looked a different man, different person.
I did look quite different. I mean, I'm the same basic person as physically, but I have a different shaped head. There's certain things that I like do differently, use a certain different hand for than he did, or
Okay.
different things.
So you're saying you feel the same being, the same soul, the same spirit inside, but you're no.
It's just the body. Okay, there's this thing called a soul contract.
Yeah.
It's made before, kind of like, at the beginning of time kind of thing, before.
Yeah.
It's a contract where a person has volunteered to say, okay, at a certain point, I will surrender my physical body to a being, from the upper realm.
Are you describing a walk-in? Okay, so you're a walk-in. Okay, so the old JESTON in 2015, or whatever his name was, that person deceased?
No, he didn't die. He just went to Abraham's bosom. His soul went to Abraham's bosom.
Okay, but the physical tabernacles of the different head, what happened to that physical vessel that you or he occupied at that, prior to 2015?
This is it. I mean,
is it okay? So it's the same. Okay, so there was no death per se. It was
right.
But some characteristics, i.e., your face, your countenance, has changed.
As time has gone on, I've morphed into more of what I look like.
Okay.
Like,
So it was a physical body, 2015. He's gone to Abraham's, but he's transitioned. You've come in.
oh no, not the physical body, just the soul.
Yeah. So the soul has come. So his sorry. I mean, yeah. When I say physical body, I mean the physical body is continued, but because there's a different soul that's contained within it now, which is you. Some of your features are now becoming more prominent because you've occupied that home, for want of a better phrase, for a period of time.
Right. And so, you know, the blended part became most apparent when he was going, oh, wow, my name's not this name. That's not my name. And what was happening was he was becoming more me than he was him.
Got ya.
He was like tapping in to me, Jetson.
Yeah.
And so at one point, you know, this went on for several months where he just knew. And so he even you know, he started calling himself something else in his mind, you know, just, well, I'll go by this, you know, in my
Yeah.
mind. And then one morning he just woke up and there was the word in his mind, Jetson. And he went, oh, that's my name.
So you had a new name, effectively, because you were a new person.
Right, but that wasn't the walking point. That was the blending happening. And when
Okay.
he was blending more and more into the new creation, the new person, me.
Okay.
And he was like phasing out more and more.
Got ya.
But then something happened at a certain point. It was September 1st, 2016. I was living in Hawaii, and I came home from the beach, and all of a sudden, this is in the video that I'm talking about, how I found Toss Spaceship. You can watch it and find the information right there. But it's like all of a sudden I just got really woozy and had to go lie down. I didn't feel sick. I just, you know, like otherworldly kind of, whoa, I don't have my bearings on this earth. And so I laid down, and all of a sudden it was like this big download of, you know, who I was. I'm not that person. I'm Jetson White, and here's my history, and here's why I'm here. And the only way I can hang on to that is by retrieving the timeline that I had when I was, all of the children who were murdered because of Christ, basically, were redeemed by Jesus during those 3 days that after his death, before he ascended. And he redeemed all those children, and they went up to heaven. The only way you can get up there, see, you can't get out just, you know, even an infant that dies is not going to heaven. It's going to Abraham's bosom. And the saints, the good people, go to Abraham's bosom. The other people, they're reincarnated, basically.
What's that? So what's your definition of Abraham's bosom?
It's it's in the earth. It's like just like Sheol is also in the earth. Sheol and hell. Abraham's bosom is a separate place. It's divided by a partition, a dimensional like partition. And
in the center of the earth.
It's not like a hollow earth type. Well, I don't know. It's just it's a dimensional thing. It's like an interdimensional type thing.
Okay. You know? And is it kind of more of like a waiting period, or?
It's a place of comfort. There's no suffering. And I even think that there's scriptural evidence that these people are able to know what's going on. Maybe they, like, let's say, you know, your mom was a Christian, right? She was a born again Christian, a real, you know, someone that was really had a relationship with the Lord. Well, at some point, you know, she might show up in your room or something, or maybe you can't see her, maybe somebody else sees her. But it's like these people in Abraham's bosom, I think they can kind of move about here if they want. I shouldn't even have brought that up. It's off topic.
No, but I like it. I like, you know me, I want to know everything. So I'm really interested to hear it. Yeah. So do you have recollections, memories, for want of a better description, of you prior to occupying, before you walked into the body of the person that, you know, you have now blended, or they blended with you? Do you have memories of where you were, what you were doing before?
Right, but it's not like you would think. It's like since the time we were redeemed, all these boys, we were in training in heaven, in the heavenly realm.
Okay.
And we were at one point to, well, we had an assignment to be a guardian angel before, even prior to that, of the person that we were contracted with. So we had earth experience from that.
Yeah.
Because we didn't really have any earth experience, you know, being killed 2 years old or under. So we needed earth experience. So we were assigned as guardian angels for the people that we had contract with to make sure they didn't die. But so at some point in our training, we were to take all of our favorite thoughts, all of our favorite things about Earth, and create what we call a 7D timeline, which means there were no limits on what you could do. Like if you liked motorcycles, you know, then, you know, you knew how to ride one and you could do a big jump and fly through the air for 50 feet and land. And, you know, just like you see all these YouTube videos of people riding around on their motorcycles, you could do all that stuff. And so everything that you loved about the Earth realm, you created a timeline in the heavenly realm so that you could get familiar with living in an Earth timeline. Even though it was far above what you would be experiencing here, it was necessary, because the first thing that's going to happen to you once you step in as a walk-in is everything is going to start trying to make you think that that didn't happen, that you're still that person, that other person. So your first assignment is to start pulling that timeline in, and you keep all your focus on that, so that you, and when you said, do you remember? Well, yeah, you know, I remember that my dad, I chose my 7D dad as a 7D version of George Harrison. In other words, he was like, he didn't have any of the faults that George Harrison had here in 3D world. He was like a perfect version of George Harrison. And his wife was Patty Boyd. And the two of them, they never had children here on Earth, but they had me in my 7D timeline. So I was their offspring. So they're where I got my accent, because George is from Liverpool, and Patty is actually raised in South Africa, but then lived in London and, you know, adopted the London accent. So that's where I got my accent, is from me upbringing. See?
Okay. Hence you wrote the book. Interesting.
No, the book was written before by the other person, actually, but I know.
Oh, was it?
Huh?
What's the name of the book?
The Genesis of the Beatles.
Okay. So that will give us some information on who you were before.
Right.
Are you able to, I know you've not said it yet, but people can look up, are you able to say the author's name or not? We'll just let people look it up.
I'll just let people look it up. It might still be out there. He did have it for out on Amazon at some point. So if it's still archived, it's somewhere like that. It could possibly be found.
And it's say again, the Genesis of the Beatles.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So going back to the 144,000, because obviously I know about the two things, but I'd never connected them in that way. So that's really interesting. Because they were taken out as young children, babies, or, you know, infants, and I mean this in the most positive way to you, are the 144,000 that have come back as walk-ins. I'm assuming they're all walk-ins, are they? Okay. Are they all quite childlike in their being and their aura? Because you're very youthful. I've joked before with you, like Benjamin Button. It's like something's very special and unique about you. So, would the other 144,000, would they be similar in kind of demeanor and physical characteristics and outlook?
Right. We were in the timeline that I had, we were all 12. So
Okay.
we never got any older than 12. We stayed 12, like for as long as we wanted. And there was no reason to really get any older, so we all just stayed 12.
That's when you were in Abraham's bosom.
No, I've never been in Abraham's bosom. That was the other chap.
Oh, sorry. When you were in the 7D timeline that you created, all of you were at age 12. Am I right in saying then, so now have most of the 144,000 walked in to this 3D timeline right now to help assist, the advancement of Earth?
The only one thing that I think, see, I don't know any other people like me, except I think George Lucas is a starseed, is a 144,000. And one of the things that seems to be a characteristic is that we're tiny. We're childlike in our bodies.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about George Lucas, before he got, really fat, he was like this little skinny guy, and I'm taller than he is.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'7.5". And he's
So I've seen George Lucas in person at a film premiere. I didn't particularly think I didn't look at him and think, oh, he's really tiny. I mean, he's big and stocky, but I've not looked up his height, but it didn't strike me as, oh, he's really a tiny man. There's others I won't embarrass them, but there's others in the movement that I know that I would say a lot smaller than you and George Lucas.
I think he's about 5'4".
No.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
Look it up. I honestly, I've got a picture of him. Not with him. I got a picture with Darth Maul, not Darth Maul, Kylo Ren, and Carrie Fisher was just like literally 1.5 meters away from me, but George Lucas was probably about 8 yards, 10 yards away. I didn't know that about him. George Lucas' height.
He's 5'7". Sorry, he's 5'7". He's almost the same height as me.
Okay.
Sorry. I guess I might have been thinking of Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, well, Michael J. Fox he looks little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when George was much younger, and he was just this little skinny beanpole, it's really true,
He did that film, didn't he? Howard the Duck. No, Ron Howard, I think. Was it Ron Howard? So, do you remember Howard the Duck? So that's basically that's a description of it's like a timeline. And this character, the duck, lives in the human world, but he's very human, but he's a duck. He's just a different person.
I don't remember it, but
Howard the Duck, and I think it's probably not rated highly, so it's probably okay to watch.
I think he is involved with that movie.
I think he is. Huh. This is fascinating, Jess, and I love this stuff. This is really amazing. This is brilliant. Anything else you want to share in regards to that before we say thank you for the memories and meet up next time? Because there's lots more to discuss on this, because this stuff is really cool. Because I'm aware, I've got a friend, Laura, she's talked about walk-ins, and I'm aware of it, but not to this level of description, because I didn't know you were a walk-in, but it doesn't surprise me in the least, because I have wondered, who is this bundle of fun?
Well,
who is he?
I would just wrap it up and say, there's 2 series out on my channel that anyone who wants to know more about what we were just talking about could
Yeah.
watch How I Found Thoth Spaceship, which is a playlist with about 5 videos, and then the stars, the 144,000 are star seeds, and there's 4 videos in that, I believe.
And are they, to your knowledge, you said you've not met others of those, but are they here now doing their mission, or are they coming in kind of,
No,
you know, a convoy?
they're all here. They're all here.
Interesting. And they're all male, as far as you know.
Well, they were all born male, you know, Hebrews, Israelites.
Yeah.
But I have a sense that the choice for the soul contract was not based on, was it a male? It's based on more who am I going to choose that will be successful in their mission? And I think that some lads may have chosen females.
Okay. And what's the prime mission objective of the 144,000?
I think each one has a different mission, because if you look at George Lucas, he has a message, obviously.
Yeah.
His movie was not a huge, he's like one of the richest men in the world. Most people don't know that. And he actually gives 1/2 of his annual income away to charity every year.
Interesting.
But he had a mission, and my mission is to get out a certain message that I've been getting out through my channel, and God has blessed my channel in great ways, and he's used you to bless my channel.
He has. We've all blessed each other. You've been great. You've been a big part of my understanding and journey along this, you know, and you'll continue to be so. One thing I wanted to ask, and this is not a contentious point, this is just something as an observation, and whenever I ask questions, I'm just asking authentically, just want to know what the answers to things are, and even if there is an answer, it might be many answers or no answers. So you said about the stuff with Juan, and I hear that, and you said about the Beatles, and you've now explained where you get your knowledge from that, so that makes more sense. One thing, when we were talking earlier, before we got cut off with the lightning strike, the 182, the flux capacitor 182, was there was an album, and I don't want to describe it much, but there was an album cover of babies, which was quite graphic, and people use that and they point to it and they say, well, that's the screen's frozen again. Are you still there, buddy? This is peculiar that it's paused at this point. Give me a sign, buddy, if you're still there. Are you still here? Are you still there? Let's have a look. Well, he still appears to be there. Hang on. Are you still here? I think he's gone. Yeah, he's gone. I don't know what happened there. Okay, I'm going to call him up again. He's gone. I don't know if that's because he didn't want to answer that question, or give me a second. Right. I'm going to end the recording. No, I'm going to pause, actually. Hey, we're back in the room. Guess what happened? Another lightning strike. It just knocked Jetson's comms out straight away when we were asking that important question. I just asked that. We won't, you know, don't need to describe. We both know what we're talking about. But just in regards to that album cover with the Beatles, yeah.
You're talking about the Butcher cover, right?
Is that the name of it?
Right. It shows Beatles in white, kind of like laughing.
Yeah. And then just, yeah, we don't need to say any more, but it's, yeah, of babies. It's not nice.
I'll tell you what that was. The Beatles were so genuinely naive. They didn't understand that there was this deep state agenda going on beneath the surface.
Yeah.
And so when they showed up for a photo shoot, it was like whatever the photographer said, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. They would just do it.
Okay.
That's what happened with that particular thing. They're like, oh, we got these babies. They didn't really know,
Yeah.
had no idea that how it would be perceived. They just
Okay.
it. And then, of course, it got pulled and replaced.
So they got caught. Oh, did it get replaced then?
It got replaced with a just a very generic photo of the three Beatles, and then Ringo was in like a big trunk that was set up on its end.
So that never was actually the album. That was what they did, and then it got replaced.
Right. I think, a few printings went out, but they pulled it. They brought
Okay.
recall.
Got you. Interesting. Are you familiar with Ariel on Twitter?
Someone recently had put her name in one of the comments, and I went out and looked at her. She's a blonde lady.
No, Ariel was a black guy.
Oh no, I don't know who this is.
Well, I think I mean, he's shown a couple. He's got kind of. It's like a. How would you just? Yeah, I think he's a black guy, if that's his real character. But he's so he did a tweet about a month ago. I spoke to Gene Decode about, because he looks at a lot of his stuff, and I'm not going to describe this totally accurately. Gene was far better at remembering it than I was accurately, in terms of quoting his verbatim back to back what it was. But basically, Ariel was giving a description of someone that had gone into a different timeline. They time traveled, and they ended up, I think, in a field or something. But one of the things that they found in the new reality was a digital cassette of a Beatles album that hadn't ever been released. So it was an unknown Beatles recording, an album that didn't exist in the timeline that we're in now, but it existed in this other timeline that this person had gone to. And then I can't remember if they brought the tape back or not, but it was the totem, the unique thing of that timeline. That was, everything else seemed pretty similar. I mean, maybe, yeah, he ended up in a field, I think, where they lived. There was a few things that were different, but for all intents and purposes, it was pretty similar. But this album on this cassette by the Beatles was totally different. It hadn't been, no one had ever heard of it. None of the songs, nothing like that. So it was the Beatles in a different timeline with a new cassette. I just wondered if you'd come across that, because it came out in about the last month or so. It might be worth looking at, but I just wondered if you'd seen that at all.
Like I said earlier, based on what I know about time travel, it's divinely protected. Everyone doesn't have access to it. You can't just go and time travel and walk in a field. I mean, it's like the only person that has access to it in our realm right now is Nikola Tesla, period. That's it. Everybody's not out there using time travel. It's just not happening, in my opinion.
So do you think there was a time when the Dark Cats were using it, had access to it, they'd stolen it? No?
No, never. It's
Never.
Divinely protected.
Okay. Well, that's your opinion, and that's that's just as valid as everyone else's, because it's
right.
Okay.
No way.
But I thought I'd mention that because it came out in the last month, that tweet about it, and it was the Beatles cassette, and I was like, I didn't know you were such a Beatles fan. So
Beatles, yeah, good.
Yeah, yeah.
Fit.
Interesting. Well, I'll leave this as a nice thing for you.
All right.
So it's been a lot of fun. This has been really good. I've got to know you better in this show, Jetson.
Seems like it.
Yeah, and I appreciate your sharing that, because people will find that really interesting. So, Gray's Sports Almanac in Back to the Future. So if you do the numbers on that, it comes to 222, which comes to 1,000 years apiece, and it also comes to the name of the Tesla hotel today, Wyndham New Yorker Hotel. Wyndham New Yorker Hotel comes to 222 in numbers, and 222 is 1,000 years apiece. 1,000 years apiece is someone that I know. So if you're watching 222, or did know 222, and but yeah, the other thing about it is it's just come to me actually. So through time travel also comes to 222. and Wyndham, New Yorker, 222. Wyndham is 88 Trump, and obviously you have to travel 88 miles per hour for time travel.
Right.
And also Winter, White House, which is Mar-a-Lago. Winter, White House is also 222. So there's some nice correlations there. But buddy, it's been a lot of fun. I'm gonna have to go because it's getting late here, but it's been a lot of fun. And thank you for playing. Thank you for being a sport. Sport is 88 in numbers.
Good, great. 88.
And MPH, that's the other thing. So MPH is 37, which is senior, which is also like senior SR. But 88 MPH comes to 125 time travel.
Dark to light.
Dark to light. 120, 88 miles per hour, fully spelled out is 282, which comes to Eric Trump and Tom numbers. And I wore my t-shirt with him. I did that, and then I worked out the numbers after. I was like, oh, it adds up. And it also comes to transition to greatness, and it also comes to return of Princess Diana. In my opinion, I think she's coming back. So we'll see, November 5th. Anyway, God bless you, buddy.
God bless you.
Everything is a temporal pincer movement, or maybe it's just, that's the question. I'll leave this with you, maybe when we do the next show, whenever that will be, is time travel and temporal pincers seem to be different, but they're related. If time travel is divinely protected and only Tesla has the keys to that, do others have access to temporal pincers? If it's divinely, and I believe Trump is divine and he's God's messenger, so when he was a time traveler, did he have to get access via Tesla back then, or directly from God, or?
Well, it wasn't back then so far. I mean, it was just like right after he got read in as president. But
there you go. Yeah, I have to keep checking myself.
Tesla was in Cheyenne Mountain. He has been in Cheyenne Mountain ever since he brought himself back as a younger version of himself.
Have you met the new Tesla? Have you met Tesla?
No, I haven't met Tesla.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
That was a little child being caught with the handing the sweetie jar, and you're saying no while you're handing the sweetie jar.
You're the cosmopolitan traveler guy. You've had more chance to meet him than I have.
Have I?
I would think so.
I might have. Who knows? It might be him in the car waiting for me to come out and say hello.
Here's what it says right in the movie. I'm going to say this from the movie Tenet. I got this from watching it today on Badlands Media. They had that special about it. It said, they're running a temporal pincer
movement. Movement is 107, Trump's quantum military.
A pincer movement. And he goes, what? He says, a pincer movement, but not in space, in time.
In time.
Half his team moves forward through the event.
Yes.
He monitors them and then attacks at the end, moving backwards, knowing everything.
I think the end is November 5th. I think that's when it goes back. But I don't know. I'm reawakening to this stuff. I'm glad you're a fan of Tenet, even though you've not seen it yet, buddy.
I wouldn't say I'm a fan, but I thought that was extremely interesting.
Well, I'm telling you, that movie is full of those things. The whole thing is a temporal pincer movement. And I think maybe you and me are in a temporal. I think maybe all of this is a temporal pincer movement. And how to explain it further, I'm not sure yet, but I think it might be. So, Roger that, buddy. God bless you.
Time will tell.
Time will tell. It always does. All right, my friend. God bless you.
God bless.
Thanks, Justin. And how can people find you? I'll put your YouTube below. So yeah, I guess that's how people can find you.
JESTON WHITE on YouTube.
Fantastic. Take care, buddy.
All right.
Thanks, Justin. Bye.
Ta.
Ta.